Go ahead and grab the phone and the questions. I'm not very used to talking to a camera, but this will be my first time doing this because I am here to give a testimony about some things that I have experienced regarding tarot, using candles, crystals, doing readings, past experience that I've had doing readings, and what it led me up to, and realizations and revelations that I had coming from those things, and how I realized that it was actually witchcraft, and how a lot of us in different ways are doing sorcery and witchcraft without even realizing we're doing it. We think it's just fun. We think it's just light. We think that, oh, we're connecting to some sort of higher being. We're connecting to God. You know, he's giving us these experiences. You are connecting to a higher being, but not from the kingdom of God. You're not. You're connecting to something. And I want to lead into how I know this and things that I was even told. Okay. So I want to say my story starts back in, oh, and I also have my Chipotle. I am very hungry. And I got my coffee right here.
That's a mukbang testimony.
Yeah, it's a mukbang testimony because I'm really hungry. My name is Jonte DeJeanette. If I did not give my name, I am a 31-year-old mom of 3. I just gave birth to my third and final child, my daughter. And I want to say that my story starts when I was about 21. I had moved to Nashville, Tennessee back in 2014. Oh, it made me feel old. Back in 2014, yes. So I was about 19, 20 years old. I was getting to turn 20 years old. I had my very first apartment. I had my very first apartment in 2014 in Nashville, Tennessee. Okay. Now, I was in a very dark place around this time. Yes, I was going to school. Yes, I was doing all the things that we were told to do in society, right? You go to school, you graduate from high school, you go to college. I had my college experience as a freshman. I did not like it, but I was moving down there in hopes that I would be able to go back to school and not have to pay out-of-state tuition. So I moved to Nashville, Tennessee. And then when I got there and I tried to apply to school, I was told that I had to wait a year. Like I had to literally live within the state for a year in order to qualify for the in-state tuition. So that pushed school back even further. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I had to get a job. I already had a job, but I was just like, I guess I'm just going to focus on this job. But school at that time was my purpose. Okay, if there's one thing most of us, or if not all of us, are looking for, it's our purpose. What are we meant to do? What is our life going to look like? We have all these goals, and some of it is coming from society. Some of it is internal, things that we feel we should be doing. School was my purpose at that time. I was still grieving the death of my mother. I had lost my mom to cancer when I was 16, and I never truly, fully grieved her. But that'll be a full story for another time. But I just want to put that part in there so that you can understand the emotional state that I was in. So I wasn't in a very good emotional state. I did not have very good self-worth or confidence at this time. And I was looking for something to fill these voids, right? To fill something in me to make me feel better about me, make me feel better about life and where my life was headed, because I just was lost. And then I'm like, dang, now I can't go back to school. And so I finished this 1 year. Okay, cool. So my older sister at the time, she's still my older sister, but that's another story. But my older sister at that time, she was living with me. We were both living in a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment. And she had introduced me to a few things at the time. One of them being psychic readings. So she had called me one time and was like, oh my gosh, Tay, like, I just got this psychic reading done. And she was so on point. Like, she knew things about me that you wouldn't even knew she knew. And it was personal, deep stuff. excuse me, you wouldn't even knew that she knew, like, she was accurate. She told me about my husband. She told me, you know, blase, about my future, you know, things that I went through in the past. She knew our mom had passed away, blase, blah. She went through all the spiels, right? And I was like, a psychic reading? Mind you, I'm 20, and I'm like, looking for a purpose, right? And I was like, okay, but what is that? I was like, aren't psychic readings, aren't you not supposed to do that? She said, girl, I'm trying to tell you, people say don't do stuff, but sometimes I feel like they holding you back from knowledge. Sometimes I feel like, you know, you can't just always go with what everybody else say. Now, at this time, I want y'all to understand that I loved my sister very dearly. I still do, but I love myself now too. But back then, I told you I was not in a good emotional state. I was looking for some sort of validation, self-worth, something. And a lot of times I would use my sister and our relationship as a way to guide myself. So my sister was my guidance at that time. I need you to understand. So if she told me to do something, a lot of times I would do it. So she was like, yeah, so you should, you know, get a psychic reading. So I did. I got a psychic reading. I won't go into details about what was said in that psychic reading, but I will say I was enamored. I was like, oh my gosh, like, people was wrong. This is great. They were accurate. She did know, and I felt connected to this woman. Like, this is great. Like, you right, Racy. That's what I'm talking about. Right? That's what I'm talking about. You know. Da, 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 da. Yeah. I got this psychic reading, and I was so happy because there were some things that she told me that I was so looking forward to. I was like, oh my gosh, right? So that's when the dreams started. So I started having dreams, and I started being afraid, right? So my sister had a boyfriend at the time. She had a boyfriend at the time, and they would go traveling a lot. So during those times that they would go out and traveling, I was by myself. Yes, I would still work and do all of these things, but she wasn't there, you know? I started to feel a presence inside of my apartment. And I was scared. I was terrified. And when I would go to sleep, mind you, I had just cut. So in October of 2014 is also when I big chopped my hair. I cut all of my hair off. I started this natural hair journey, right? I started to feel a presence in my apartment, and I would go to sleep watching all of these natural hair care videos because I became a product junkie. I was buying all these different products, trying to figure out what to do with my hair, how to love my hair in its natural state, so on and so forth. So, you know, I'm looking at all these videos. I would go to sleep to them on my cell phone. I didn't even have a TV in my apartment at the time, or did I? I think I did. I think it was in the living room. In my bedroom, I didn't have a TV, right? So I just would set it up, prop it up on a pillow next to me in the bed, and I would be going to sleep to this. And I would feel this cold chill go down the spine of my back. And I would be so scared at night. I did not like being alone because I would feel a presence, like I felt a strong presence. Now in my bedroom, I'm gonna try to give y'all a visualization. My bed right here, right? Got a dresser right here and a walk-in closet over here. On this side, it's another dresser. Got a longer dresser right here. There is a big window on this side of my room, right? I would start having dreams. So when I would go to sleep, I was having dreams that there was a man. It was the shape of a man, and he had on a hat. He had on a hat, he had on a trench coat. Think of Jeepers Creepers, right? Think of him, the trench coat, the hat. But there was no face, there was no features. It was just black. And it was in the form of a man. And I had dreams, multiple, that man or whoever it was, whatever it was watching me sleep. I had dreams that it was standing outside my window and it was watching me sleep. So I had this dream more than one time, okay? This was a recurring dream, so much so that I told my sister I felt like I was being watched. I told her this. I did. One time she came home from one of her travel trips, right? And I was like, right, I feel like I'm being watched. And she's like, I said, yeah. I was like, I keep having dreams that it's a man or shadow or something standing outside my window. Like, I feel like I'm being watched. And I did. I felt like I was being watched. I was lost. I was scared. And when I would close my eyes, I felt this strong, heavy presence on my chest and on my back. And it felt like someone was taking their hand and pressing it into the middle of my back. That's how it started to feel. And I'm like, I did not like the way this felt, right? And my sister had her own theory about what could have happened, and she did think it was demonic, but I'm not gonna go into detail about what she said. This is just part of the journey, right? So I'm still lost. That 1 year comes around, okay? The 1 year comes around. I try to apply to go to school. They still wouldn't let me in because I don't all the way remember, but I remember getting an email like, oh, you have to completely start over because of something. I don't remember. It was something dealing with like some summer classes and speaking with my financial advisor. Like I would have had to speak to my financial advisor within a certain amount of time before the time that I actually applied to go back to school, and they would not let me back in. I started to feel hopeless. I was like, oh my gosh, I am such a failure. Like legit. I was like, I am such a failure at life. Like I'm not going to school. I'm not getting my degree. I'm not, I'm failing. Like I'm such a terrible, I'm doing such a terrible job in life right now. And other people would look at me and say the opposite. They would be like, girl, you moved out here when you was 19. You only 20 years old. You got your own spot in a whole nother state. Like you grinding, doing what you doing. I did not see myself that way. I saw myself as a failure. I saw myself as not successful. I was grieving. I was depressed. I found out in 2000, we're moving into 2015 now. I found out I was depressed. I was dealing with depression. And I didn't know what to do. I cried so much. I started buying a whole bunch of stuff I didn't need just to kind of like make myself feel like I wasn't alone. Because at this point, my sister was gone majority of the time. So I'm like, I just felt, vulnerable in a bad way. So what did I do? I went back to the psychic. I went back to the psychic because I wanted her to give me the path of life. I wanted her to tell me something that was going to click so that I could know where I needed to go, who I needed to talk to, what I needed to do. So I went back to this psychic, right? This is my second time going to the psychic. I went to her 3 times, okay? This is my second time going to her, right? She does another reading on me. And you know what she says to me the second time? Because my sister actually, both me and my sister did go a second time. We both did, yeah, but this is the second time. She looks at me and she says, you feel afraid at night. She says, you feel afraid at night. You feel cold. You feel like something or someone is watching you. And I was like, oh my God, right. It's just, oh my God, she right. And I didn't know it then, but I know better now. But this is what happened. She tells me to buy one of her candles. So this candle is a black candle. She says, you need to get one of my candles. And then she gave me a little piece of paper that had a written words on it, right? Saying certain things. And she told me to meditate on that piece of paper. She said, what I want you to do is I make these personal candles. They are there to help you. She said, it'll help you get rid of this spirit that is on you. It'll make you feel whole. It'll make you feel better. Blah, 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 right? That's what she was saying to me. This candle is black, but it burns red. So what she says is when you light it, it'll burn red because the inside of the candle is red and then it's dipped in black wax. It is in the shape of a woman, and she called it a woman of virtue, right? And then she gave me this candle. She gave me this piece of paper. And this is the part. My boyfriend don't even know this. Yeah, he look at his face is like, hold on, you ain't tell me all this now. See, this is why testimonies are important, to get everything out there. But so So I take this candle, I purchase this candle, and I buy this piece of paper from her, right? I take this piece of paper from her. I go back home. I do as she tells me to do. I think it took me about 2-3 days to officially burn fully through the candle. But I light this candle, and then she said it burns red, right? It's black on the outside, it burns red. I don't remember what's on the piece of paper, so don't ask me. I don't remember at all. This was like 10, 11 years ago. So I burn this candle, and I'm reading this stuff she tells me, right? I'm closing my eyes, I'm meditating like she said, burning the candle, reading, burning. I do this for 3 days, and then the candle, she told me to do it until the candle fully burns out. I did it. Candle was fully burnt out. And I had a piece of paper. I crumbled it up. I threw it out. And then I started meditating. Y'all. The presence got stronger. The presence got so strong that I started to talk to it because I knew it was there. So it was the strongest when I would be showering. So I would be taking a shower and I would just feel like something was right there staring at me. Like just... And it got so strong to the point to where I remember one time I stopped washing my body. I was washing my body. I stopped washing my body and I looked over and I was like, I know you right there. I can feel you right there. I know you right there. Like, you need to go. I was talking to it. I don't know what it was, right? But I felt that presence. It was there. I was like, you need to go. Like, I feel you right there. Every time I was at home, it followed me around the house. Like, when I left the house, I didn't feel anything. When I was at home, oh, baby, it was there. It was there. And let me tell you something else that started to happen. I ended up getting a spider infestation in my apartment. So I woke up one day and I went into my kitchen. There was a spider, right? Kill it. Cool. You know, no biggie. Go into my bathroom. There was another spider on the wall. Okay, kill it. Twice in one day. Okay, that was cool, you know. Go into my bedroom. I see one crawling on the wall and I see one crawling up on my bed. I'm like, okay, hold up. So I kill this one, kill this one. I'm like, hold on, that's like 4-5 spiders today. What's going on? I ended up getting a spider infestation, y'all. It was so bad. When I would come home from work, I was working at a place called OHL. We would sell like Apple products, purses, stuff like that, you know, and you would pick. It was a warehouse. So I was working 12-hour shifts. This was my first overnight job, and I was working 12-hour shifts, right? I left my other job because I was making more money here. So this is when this happened. So it would be to the point where I would come home. It would be times I would get in my bed and one would drop down from my pillow and crawl off. Every time I turned on my bathroom light, it would be a spider dropped down in front of my face. I would see them crawling everywhere. It was to the point where I was having to sometimes shake out my clothes to make sure there was not one of my shoes, my pants, whatever. My neighbor had a cute little dog named Precious, and me and her would talk sometimes. So I remember I ended up asking her, like, do you have a lot of spiders in your house? Da, 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 da. No. And I remember asking my neighbor across from me, I said, do y'all have a lot of spiders in your house? They were like, no. But one older woman told me that a long time ago I'm not going to name where I was at in Tennessee, but there, the place I lived at, they had a big spider infestation and it landed on the news. It was on the news and you could read it in the newspaper. And she said, but that was about 10 years ago. She had been living there for like 12 years, she told me. But she was like, yeah, that was like 10 years ago, though. No one's had that issue since. And I'm like, what the heck? I was spiders everywhere. And I would pray at night. I started praying to God. And I was like, God, please, like, because I didn't want to get bit by them spiders. And I was scared. I was scared at this point. So I went to the front office of the place and told them about it. And they went and came around and sprayed. Sprayed. And it started killing the spiders off, right? But he was like, yeah, you do gotta, I had a good amount of spiders up in that apartment, right? So this is when I meet my now ex-boyfriend. I'm gonna just call him, I was getting ready to turn 21, and I meet my ex-boyfriend. I'm gonna call him Jay. Call call him Jay. My ex-boyfriend, Jay, right? I'm not going to use anybody's real names, okay? Although I think I already used my sister's, but that's because I'm assuming most of you who know me already know my sister. Being honest. My ex-boyfriend, Jay, right? I meet him. He starts staying at my apartment for some time. And we had a 8-month to a year relationship. Now, he was at my place a lot, so I felt fine. I never had those dreams kind of went away. The presents went away. The spiders went away, right? And I was fine. So we were good. But I never wanted to be alone after that. I never wanted to be alone. And while I was in this relationship with Jay, I ended up moving in with him. And this is the first time I ever lived with another guy. Like, right, a guy besides my parents. Somebody besides my parents and my sister. So I move in with him. And I just ended up hitting a rock bottom place. When I say rock bottom, I mean rock bottom mentally and emotionally. I felt like I just completely broke. I was heartbroken. There were some things in between there that happened that I'm not disclosing. Like a guy that I loved breaking my heart. We were best friends, but I want to save those detailed stories for another time. So let's just say on top of what I was already going through, I had a guy I truly loved break my heart in between me already feeling depressed, going through depression and feeling like I was a failure, right? And on top of that, I just felt completely broken. Right? And I got into this dark space. And I remember just looking up. My sister had actually had my niece by then too. My sister had given birth to her daughter. So I look up, I look around. And I remember just looking around this room and I was like, God, is this my life? Like, is this where it ends for me? Like, is this what, I'm only 21, y'all. I'm like, is this what's really destined for me? Is this my life? God started pulling me in his direction around that time. So I started going to church. I stopped being sexual. I would go to church every Sunday. I had first started working at Amazon around that time in Tennessee. And I started to pull myself back together in such a beautiful way that I loved, right? My sister had this thing called the Purple Book where we would both be on the phone. Because at this point, I think my sister is either in Texas or Virginia, one of the two. I can't exactly remember. Like I said, it was a long time ago. So we read this thing. It's called the Purple Book, where you go to specific Bible verses and you do the assignment on that. You read it and then you answer the questions based off that verse, right? So we would do that every night. I was praying every night. I was like in it, but I was still living with my ex-boyfriend. So I had to get my own place, right? So long story short, again, I'll give all these other details later on. I ended up homeless. I'll give all these other details later. I ended up homeless in my car. Me and my sister and her daughter. I met my niece for the first time. She was 9 months. We all were homeless in the car, right? So I ended up asking a coworker for help because we were homeless for like 2 months. And then I asked a coworker for help. I worked at Amazon. And she allowed us to stay there for 1 week. However, her and my sister got into an argument and we got kicked out. So this woman had to be an angel. She saw us get kicked out of this woman's place. And she tells me to come here. And she's like, I tell her what happened. She asked what was going on. And she said, oh no. She was like, okay, I want you and your sister to gather y'all things and I want y'all to follow me. We follow her. And she pays for 1 week for us to stay in a hotel. Our birthdays were coming up, meaning I was about to be 22. My sister was about to be 24. Yes, she was about to turn 24. My sister was turning 24. I was turning 22. So we stay in this hotel. We have a few friends come down from Ohio, from Cincinnati, Ohio, to come and visit us. We have somewhat of a good time. I'm not really in the good spirits at the time. I told you I'm in a very dark place, and I'm desperate at this point. I was so desperate. And once they leave, they help us get another hotel room, right? That one week came, our friends ended up helping us get 2 more nights in another hotel room. Once that second night came around, mind you, I was the only one working and had a job. I couldn't do all this by myself. We had tried to get apartments, but every single time I would finally have the money to get and put a deposit on the apartment, it was gone. So it was like, I just felt like everything was against me, right? I never wanted, when I tell y'all, I never wanted to come back to Cincinnati. I meant that. I meant it. Mind you, this is the second time that me and my sister have been homeless. The first time is before any of this happened. Again, that's another story for another time, right? Just giving you a little bit more context. So after that second night rolls around, and I'm the only one that has money, and my money is tapped out. I'm behind on a lot of bills because, you know, even though I don't have rent, I still have car note. I still have cell phone. I still have car insurance. I still have credit cards, right? I have all these bills. I still have to pay bills. So I heard a voice literally say clearly, and I knew this was God's voice. He said, "It's time for you to go home now." And I remember I looked at my sister. We were both laying in bed. And I looked at my sister and I said, "It's time for us to go home." And she was like, "I heard the same thing." She's like, "I heard the same thing." Like, I was like, "It's time for us to go home." So we drive home. It was like a 5-6 hour drive. We get home, we move in with my dad. Now, I stayed with my dad for about 3 months. My sister ended up moving in with her first baby daddy's friend. And then those two ended up having a baby together, her son. So I move out of my dad's house after about 3 months. I get my own space. Y'all, this space is so terrible. Hey, so terrible. There's bats living in the walls. I'm not joking, bats living in the walls. It was roaches everywhere. And this is when I got introduced to something called a bat bug. So a bat bug is like a bed bug, but its main source of food is a bat. But you know, when it's warm outside, that's when the bats come out and fly. And when they do that at night, when it's warm outside, the bat bugs don't have anything to munch on. So guess what? They come in your apartment and they about to munch on you. I had to get out of there. I was dating me and Jay. Oh yeah, me and Jay broke up. Okay. Obviously, if that hasn't been obvious by now, we broke up. Okay. Now I'm dating someone else. He was from Somalia. Me and him was together for like a year. And then me and him broke up. He actually moved in with me around my 23rd birthday. He moved in with me around my 23rd birthday. And we moved into this apartment. And then me and him broke up probably around like October of that year. Mind you, this is a pattern. This is why I'm telling y'all this. Pay attention. This is a pattern. Because after that, me and him ended up breaking up. And I couldn't stay in that apartment no more. Y'all, one time I was asleep, right? And I was afraid of the dark. I'm so serious. I was afraid of the dark. Hold on, I need to eat. I'm hungry. Hold on. Y'all mind if I eat and do this? So I was afraid of the dark because of everything that I had experienced, right? And then it just got to a point where I would just feel this presence again. It got to this point I would still feel that presence while I was with the guy who was from Somalia. Mainly while I was sleeping, I would feel that presence. And it had gotten to a point where I never wanted to be alone, right? I never told nobody this. I never even expressed this to the boyfriends I had. I just tried to ride it out. Anyway, I just tried to ride it out. But I never wanted to be alone. Right? So, me and him break up. Right? We break up because of religious differences. That's just what I'm going to say with that. Religious differences. He was Muslim. We weren't going to see eye to eye on how things worked, so we broke up. Shortly after, I started dating my now oldest son's father. Right, this is when me and him started dating. So this is, what year is this? This is the end of 2017. This is the end of 2017. So, oh, I did skip something. The third time I went to go see the psychic. So let's backtrack a little bit because I did see her 3 times. The third time I saw the psychic was right before I moved in with Jay. Right before I moved in with him, I went back to see that psychic. And what she told, she didn't even do a reading on me that time. She wouldn't. She was like, no. What she told me was, you need to get into your word. When I look at you, you appear to be in red. Red means determination. And I see it. You dream in color. Most people don't dream in color. They dream in black and white. You're determined. You need to read your Bible. That's pretty much the gist of what she told me. So, okay, right? Now, fast forward back. I'm with my oldest son's father, right? I have a rocky relationship with him. There is a lot of me that is still broken. There's a lot of me that is still sad. There's a lot of me that's not healed from my mom's passing. There's a lot of me that's carrying all this other extra baggage that's done happened leading up to this point that I'm at when I'm with him. I was still very young. He's 5 years older than me, so he was 28, I was 22. And I was very immature. So our relationship was not super toxic, but it was lightweight toxic. It was. And we argued a lot. And I was controlling. I felt like I had to control everything because I felt like the things, I need y'all to pay attention to this. I was so controlling because I felt like the things I couldn't control that I really wanted, I couldn't have. I gave up on school. After that whole second time I tried to go back and they said that, I gave up. I felt like a failure. I felt like the things that I really wanted to control, I couldn't. So I tried to control everything else that was within my reach, that was within my grasp, right? Okay. So, we had a lightweight toxic relationship. We argued a lot. I want to say just about every Sunday, we got drunk. We drank a lot together. A lot. Even if we went out with friends, we were drinking. If we were in the house, sometimes we would only have $20 in our bank account. We would literally drive to Kentucky to a liquor store that was open just to get a bottle. And we would drink like every Sunday. If you looked up, y'all know that little empty space above when you got a kitchen, that empty space above the kitchen cabinets, it was filled with alcohol bottles. We had a line. We drank a lot. Okay. And that's when I knew I was using alcohol, again, to fill something that was missing in here. Right? So, I didn't smoke weed. The only time I did smoke weed was once with my sister. When we first moved in with my dad's house. When we first moved into my dad's house after we left Tennessee, I got high with her and her friend a little bit, but I didn't really smoke weed, right? That was the only time I did it. Didn't smoke weed. I was drinking a lot, though. Until I found out I was pregnant, right? Found out I was pregnant. Obviously, I stopped drinking. This is when my life took a very big pivotal turn. That presence had gone away for a while, but it came back. And at this point, I just didn't know what the heck it was, but I was tired of it. I was tired of it. I never expressed any of this to any of the men I dated. Again, never talked about it. So, me and him, we end up getting kicked out of our apartment when I was like 8 weeks pregnant. We end up moving into my dad's girlfriend's apartment for about a month, and then we finally end up getting our own place again. We got a two bedroom, 1.5 bath, apartment, and it was in a nice area, quiet, right? Cool. We felt blessed, right? In between that time, right, while we were at my dad's girlfriend's apartment, I started doing other things. So my sister, right, my sister still has this hold on me, right, because I'm still in this dark place. So she starts telling me how she's going back on crew. She has both of her children at this time. She has her own spot. She's doing good. So she's telling me about all this stuff, and she's telling me about different stories that people told with this thing called Papa Legba. His name is Papa Legba. I don't know if some of you who watch American Horror Story probably know who it is, okay? But there is this thing called Papa Legba, okay? And what happens is if you give him offerings and call upon his name, he shall come to you. A lot of people said that he has come to them as like an old man on a bike, and spoken to them and exchanged those things and then left, right? Now, at the time, I'm ignorant. I don't know really what this is. I don't know what a crossroads demon is. I don't know none of this stuff, right? I'm listening to her and I'm helping her because she's telling me that she wants to reach out to Papa Legba because she, in a way, felt like me. We both felt like rejects of the world. We were tired. We were angry. I don't even want to say it, but we was bitter, boo. We had some bitterness up in that heart. And we were looking for something, right? Looking for something outside of ourselves to fill the thing that could not be filled on the inside, right? So she said she was going to go back to Papa Legba, and she said she was going to put out some things. I wasn't going to do it. I said no. But then she was telling me about all these different incense that I could buy, and I bought every single last one. I bought the sage. There was one. I bought the obsidian. There was one called jasmine. I got jasmine. There's one called dragon's blood, right? And it's supposed to be a darker, deeper connected type of incense that you can light when you want to, again, what does it say? Connect to the higher, right? So I bought it, dragon's blood, right? So I tell you this because when we move into our 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath, I start lighting those incense. And I didn't do the whole Papa Legba thing. I don't even remember if my sister did it or not. I was trying to help her do it, but I don't remember if we actually went through it or not. I don't think we did. But I'm lighting these incense and stuff, and I'm doing this stuff, right? And hopes to, they say that sage and stuff, I got one called white sage. It's supposed to cleanse your energy. It's supposed to clear the air, right? So I'm walking around with this sage, trying to, you know what I'm saying, clean the energy, because my sister was telling me about sage. Around this time is when my sister started getting into tarot cards. This is when she starts getting into tarot cards. So she starts getting real good at it too, because we have always been like enamored with astrology. So, you know, the signs, we were those kids that would like be like, we're that sign. Who or what sign are we most compatible with to see if our husbands would be that sign? We was those kids. Like, we was deep into astrology, right? And my mom once told me to stop looking at astrology because it was of the devil. I didn't think she knew what she was talking about. So I don't know what she's talking about. She think everything of the devil. Like, I ain't listening to her. Like, this is something that's innocent, that's fun. It ain't harm nobody. Like, you know how we are. That's how I was. I didn't want to listen. So we were always deep into astrology, right? So around this time, my sister starts getting into tarot. She also starts telling me about something called twin flame. She starts explaining. So for those who don't know what a twin flame is, you've got the runner, you've got the chaser, right? It's a soul that's been split into two and has been put out into the world, right? And you are supposed to find this other half of your soul. One is the runner, so it's always running away from the other half, and one is the chaser. It's really a toxic back and forth relationship because one, it's like y'all never truly face each other. One is always running, one is always chasing, even if they flip, right? And you become obsessed with this person because you feel like you are the other half of my soul. You're the other half of my soul. We're supposed to be in this together. We need to come together and become one. This is what you think when you think about twin flames, but this is when I got introduced to twin flame relationships, right? I started doing my own research. We were already talking about manifestations back when I was going to church, when I was still living in Tennessee. We were already talking about manifestations and how we were going to manifest our husbands and all this stuff, right? So that been in the works, right? I'll tell you a little bit how delusional we were when we were homeless about that a little later. Another story. But for right now, we already know about that. Talking about twin flames, she's getting into tarot. I'm over here lighting these incense around the house. I'm over here starting to sage the house, thinking I'm cleansing the energy, right? No. So I give birth to my son. Me and Tannis are having problems in our relationship, right? So I go to my sister. I want to note something at this point. Y'all notice how I'm going to everything but God, right? I'm turning to everything and everyone but God. I want y'all to pay attention to that, right? Okay. So I go to my sister. By the way, I'm like 25 at this point, 25 years old. So I go to my sister and I'm like, I don't know what to do. We're not working out. I almost said his name.
Did already.
I did. I didn't say the whole thing, okay? My oldest son's father, we were having a lot of issues in our relationship. Sorry for saying your name, or almost saying the full name. But we were already having a lot of issues in our relationship, and we were trying to figure out if we were twin flames, right? And I'll be honest, he did not like the relationship I had with my sister, because he would tell me he felt like my sister had me mentally warped around her, right? And my dad used to tell me the same thing, like, oh my gosh, you act like you're her little puppet. And at the time, I didn't really listen to them, and I didn't really know what they were talking about. To me, they were wrong. She was the outcast. She was being done wrong. I don't care what y'all talking about. That's my sister. I'm ride or die, woo to woo to woo to woo. So again, I'm doing a lot of the stuff that she's telling me to do, right? So she does this. She's doing tarot. I go to my sister for a read, okay? And I ask her about me and such and so. And she tells me some things or whatever. I start to go to my sister quite often for those readings, because to me, it gave me a quicker answer than if I were to go to God. And I'm just being honest. It gave me an answer. It gave me some guidance. It gave me some assurance, because I was so unsure of everything. I was even unsure as myself as a new mom. I was unsure of everything. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know where to go. I didn't know what I was doing. Something, right? Something. So I start going to her frequently for these readings. And so much to the point where I start to think that she is a chosen one. That is when that word starts to come in, right? Oh my gosh, she's a chosen one. She knows how to read these cards. She knows how to be psychic, just like the psychic did back all those years ago. Oh my gosh, she talks about the crystals. She talks about the candles. She talks about the incense. She talks about the, what do you call that? The sage. She talks about the sage. And she starts doing birth charts. She starts talking to me about birth charts. Everyone is born with a birth chart. And your birth chart pretty much is made up of a whole bunch of different astrological signs that make up who you are, right? So there's your sun, your moon, your ascension sign, right? There's your Venus sign, which represents how you love, the language of love. There's your North Node, which can represent some of the struggle and stuff you go through. There's your, I can't even remember what it's called, because I denounced all this stuff, but it's pretty much your Lilith, that's what it's called. Your Lilith, which talks about like sex, your libido, whatever. You have this whole chart with different degrees and all this stuff, right? That supposedly make up who you are, your DNA, right? And it's supposed to help you learn more about yourself, okay? So I get deep into these charts. Mind you, at this point, I have met my now boyfriend at this time, and I'm talking to him about birth charts. I'm talking to him about birth charts. I'm talking to him about astrology. I'm showing him readings. I'm having him listen to numerology readings and stuff like that. I'm introducing him to this stuff. Like, it's just all knowing. Oh my gosh, right? All knowing. And you want to know what this man said to me? He looked at me and he said, "This is witchcraft." I said, skirt? Hold up now. This ain't no witchcraft. This is all knowing. You are connecting to God. God has given us these things so that we can know more about ourselves. God is allowing us to have different forms to connect to him so we can become one, right? He said, "This is witchcraft. I'm trying to tell you it's witchcraft." I was like, I ain't no witch. My sister ain't no witch. You ain't about to talk about us like that. I don't know what you're talking about. This ain't no witchcraft. But that was the first time I had heard that, right? Put a pin in that. So I wasn't into it myself yet. I would just go to her for all these things, right? Lord Jesus. Me and my oldest son's father split. We break up. And I live on my own now. And I wasn't sure that I could be a single mom because that's not what I pictured. He was the first man that I felt like I was supposed to marry. And it felt so hurtful and damaging at the time that I walked away, because I felt like I didn't just walk away from him. I felt like I walked away from my family. So it was hard. That breakup wasn't simple nor easy. It was hard. And it caused me to somewhat go into an emotional spiral, especially that first day that I came home alone and him nor my son was there. I just fell on the couch and started crying. So again, I'm at this place where I'm lonely, I'm hurting, I'm in a dark place. I don't feel good about myself. And I'm trying to figure out what it is I need to do, where it is I need to go. I'm still working at Amazon. And I'm still looking for purpose. He couldn't have been my twin flame, right? That's what I thought. He couldn't have been my twin flame because this wouldn't happen like this. He's not my twin flame. Can you give me some water, babe? So as I continue to go, right, and I'm now a single mom, I don't know if I should tell y'all this part. So there's going to be some intertwining here. This will be another story that me and him can sit down and talk to y'all with. But there was a dilemma between me choosing him and another guy named E. I'm just say his name was E. This was in 2020. Thank you. Excuse me. This was in 2020. I met a man named E. E appears to be everything I have ever wanted. And I do mean that. He's got good looks. He has the charm. He knows how to make me laugh. And he appears to be brighter in knowledge, right? This is where I start talking about, because my sister and him connected on the things that we were already talking about with tarot and stuff. And that's when they start talking about the cross and how the cross isn't really supposed to be what it is, because it represents two staffs, whereas the original is the ankh, right? So it's supposed to represent the woman's ovaries and then a man's staff, but that men made it two staffs and that was incorrect, right? So much so, this man got an ankh tattooed on his arm, right? So I'm with this man, okay? This is when I start to get into tarot myself, because I'm with this man. Me and my sister fall out. I'm no longer talking to my sister at this point. So I can't go to her for these readings anymore. I can't go to her for insight. I can't go to her. All I have is all these things that she told me about. Manifestation, crystals, sage, tarot cards, right? Charts, astrology, candles, all these things, incense, right? So I buy my first deck of cards. I want to say after the fire. Yeah. So November of 2020, right before Thanksgiving, literally the day before Thanksgiving, my apartment catches on fire and I lose everything I own. Everything from me and my son. I ended up having to get relocated to another apartment. I had to stay in a hotel for about 30 days, or it was more like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Get a different apartment, right? It was then that I started to get back into tarot, and this is also when I started smoking weed. Excuse me. I started to smoke weed because I was traumatized. And then I still have all these other things going on, right? Mind you, me and E, we sleep together often. And it's great. It's the best intimacy I've ever had. It's the closest and strongest intimacy I've ever had. So I relied on that. I started to rely on that because I'm like, if I'm able to connect with someone like this, oh, this must be love. I think this man is my twin flame, because everyone talks about twin flame intimacy, right? And they talk about how deeply it is, how you're not just sleeping on the physical level, it's on a soulful level. So this is how that felt to me. So I'm like, oh, this must be it. This is my twin flame. Not only that, but we kind of had that runner chaser kind of vibe. We argued a lot though, of course. And I thought that he was everything I had ever wanted in someone. He was very toxic. He was very dark. I started to smoke weed heavily. And I mean heavily, like blunt. It would be times me and him would light up, smoke a blunt, go to sleep, wake up, light up, smoke another one. In the morning, we would light one. I would have another one already rolled up, ready in my purse when I was going to work. I would come out on my breaks, light it up, puff it, just to get a night, like refresh the high and leave, right? I started doing my own deals. So I would, like, first he used to be the one to go and get the weed for us. I started doing it myself. I started doing my own weed exchanges. I got into tarot. And what I would do was I started getting high and doing this tarot to connect to spirit, right? So I'm getting high, I'm reading this tarot, and it's accurate. I'm like, what? Right? Oh, shoot. I know what I'm talking about, because it's manifesting in front of my face. The things that I'm reading about, the things that I'm doing these readings on, it's manifesting in front of my face. I can see it happening. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. I don't know why I didn't get into this earlier. This is crazy. Like, yes, I'm over here saging the house, lighting these incense. I'm doing all of this stuff, right? Y'all. Jesus. I started to feel, so mind you, it's my room, it's a hallway. When you walk, there's there's the full bathroom, because the half bath was in my bedroom. And then there's a hall closet right here. And then when you walk down further, it's my son's room, right on the right, from just looking at my room if I was looking down the hallway. I started to feel a presence at the end of that hallway. So serious. I started to feel a presence at the end of the hallway, and something was telling me that there was a witch standing there at the end of the hallway. And I'm like, why is it there? I'm over here thinking that my sister or somebody sent this to me, but there's a witch standing there at the end of my hallway, right? So I sage and I sage and I sage and I sage. I started saging my son. So me and this man, E, we start having an extremely toxic and physical relationship. It got domestic at times, but it was very emotional and mentally abusive more than anything else. But I'm relying on this man. At this point, I am trauma bonded to him. I'm smoking this weed. I'm smoking heavily. We even added Bombay. That was our drink of choice. We started drinking that, and I'm doing these readings. And I'm happy because I'm doing these accurate readings, and I didn't know what else to do. I didn't know what else to turn to, right? And I started to get a sense of power. I started to feel strong. I started to feel like, you know what? I don't need you to do these things for me. I would tell him this. I don't need you. I will start doing these things for myself. Yes, I don't need you for this. I'll do it myself. Strength. And I manifested my first car. It was a brand new 2021 Hyundai Santa Fe. I said, I only want to have to put down $1,600 for this car. I only had to put down $1,600 for the car. I drove off the lot with it, and it only had 33 miles on it. I hung an amethyst crystal, which is a purple crystal, onto the mirror. And I said, yes, yes, you know, I did that. I'm manifesting. This is in 2021. So at the end of 2021, that's when COVID had hit real bad. It was already bad, 2020, right? But Omicron had came out around this time. And this man that I'm with now gave me COVID. He smiled.
True story.
He gave me COVID. And I was sick, y'all. I was sick. Oh my gosh, Omicron. That put me on my tail. I thought I was dying. I promise you, I thought I did. But anyway, I was told, and I heard a voice tell me to leave E alone. It said, if you don't leave E alone, you're going to regret it. I didn't listen. I was listening, but then because I got COVID, I was alone. I was hurting. I was sick. I was in pain, right? I was vomiting. I had diarrhea. All the work. Terrible, right?
Sorry.
Yeah. So I called him in a moment of weakness and pulled him back in. 2022 was when everything started to kick up, right? I have my new car. I'm manifesting. I'm gaining all this strength. I'm doing all these things for myself. I feel like I'm gaining better insight. I'm connecting with God. I'm getting high, right? Our building closes and we get told that we're going to another building. I go there, right? I wanted to manifest being in a different position, and I ended up landing HR. Okay, and that was in the midst of going through some custody stuff because I was in a domestic relationship, and I did end up ultimately losing custody of my oldest son. That is another story for another time. Yes, I do have a relationship with my son. Yes, everything is good between me and the son's father. Okay, we're all good. That'll be a story for another time. We're good though, right? No hard feelings, nothing. We're good. But that was my consequence for not walking away from E, was losing my son. And I knew it. I promise you I did. So when I finally chose to let E go, because I'm still smoking, I'm still doing the tarot, I'm still trying to manifest, but I build up this self-love within myself of, I don't need you, I got me. So I was able to eventually walk away from him. I ended up manifesting a new apartment. And it was like, if my 19-year-old self could be in that apartment, I would have threw a fit. But I manifested this nice apartment. It was a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, which is me and my son. And I had the other apartment still in my name. So I was paying on 2 apartments in one time. Y'all, I felt like the boss. You hear me? So I moved into this apartment, right? Me and E was together for like 1 more month. That relationship was done. I was done. I had enough. We were done, right? Cool. So I'm broken though. Again, we always end up right back into this broken place, right? That's the pattern here. I'm heartbroken. I'm hurt, right? I hadn't found out I lost custody of my son yet. I hadn't found this hadn't come yet, but I'm heartbroken. I'm hurt. It's the end of 2022. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so in 2023, I start going on a healing journey with God. This is when a lot of the readings on the TV started. I had been watching them before, but not like how I was watching them now. I was watching them faithfully, constantly. I would wake up to readings. And what I mean is tarot readings of other people, YouTubers who had done tarot readings, right? And they would have your sign up on there. I would go to my sign. I would go to the ones I liked, and I would watch them. And sometimes I would just watch general ones too. So I watched them. I would wake up to them. I would go to bed to them. I would do them sometimes myself to see if what I saw matched up with what they saw, so I could know that the information they was giving me was accurate. And I started saying affirmations, right? I had been saying affirmations back then, but this is when the affirmations got strong because now I'm going through this healing process with God, right? Going through this healing process with God. So I'm saying this affirmation, right? And I used to call myself a queen, right? You a queen, you know, you a queen, you know. I would look at myself in the mirror crying and be like, you are a queen, you are beautiful, you're this, you're that. Building myself back up, right? Slowly, those words started to change. I started to tell myself that I was chosen, right? I'm chosen. I'm an alchemist, right? I'm a master manifester, right? Manifested all these things. Yes, I'm all knowing. God is with me. He gives me this knowledge, all knowing. I'm still saging. Still saging. And the words start to change. So I start being told, don't say you a queen. Say you a goddess. And I remember saying this. I started saying I was a goddess. Then it started to say, and don't say you're just beautiful. Say I am at the end of every affirmation, and snap your fingers. Now, the snapping fingers thing wasn't new because I had been saying affirmations when I was in this relationship with E, and I had started to build myself up, right? And before I moved into this 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment, I was already saying this affirmation and snapping my fingers. I just wasn't saying the words that it told me to say, right? So it was like, say, and I'm saying this because I hear something talking to me. And it was like, say you're a goddess. Instead of just saying, oh yeah, you're beautiful, you're this, say I am. And snap your fingers. So I started doing that, right? I ended up meeting another guy, which is my second son's father, biological father. That's another story for another time too. I didn't know the man very long, and he had an alternate agenda. And I was told what his agenda was. And me and him parted ways. And so I was pregnant with my second child alone again. But this time I was empowered, baby. I wasn't sad. I was empowered, okay? I was empowered. I was in love with myself. I had healed a lot of those wounds. I had been manifesting. I'm over here doing this tarot. I'm over here calling myself a goddess. I'm saying I am chosen. I am an alchemist. I'm saying I am. Now, this is something I want to rewind. When I was with E, me and him would have conversations about a lot of this stuff because he's seen me doing the tarot. We would talk about the book of Enoch. And in there, he would tell me that Jesus wasn't real. He would tell me Jesus wasn't real and that you can't find the cross anywhere. You can't find where he was buried anywhere. You can't find any of that because it never actually existed. And he was talking about the book of Enoch and how it was the actual version to the Bible. I'm listening to all of this. This thing starts to tell me the same thing. Yeah, Jesus isn't real. What you talking about Jesus for? It's only God. You don't say Jesus, and I'm not joking. You don't say Jesus. You say God. Don't say Jesus, say God. So I stopped saying Jesus, and I just said God, right? That was it. Jesus didn't exist to me anymore. And I stopped reading the Bible because I was also told as I was doing the readings, yeah, the Bible was a lie. It was written by men. Men wrote the Bible to benefit themselves and to have some secret agenda regarding the world so that they could take over and start this new world order. You don't need to read that Bible no more. Stop reading the Bible. Stop reading it. You got me. You got tarot. You are connecting with me. I am God. You are connecting with me. God is not outside of you. I flow within you. I give you this power to manifest. These are things that you use to connect to me. This is what I'm being told. This is what I'm being told. So fast forward back, me and E over. So I'm starting to change those words from queen to goddess. I'm starting to say that I am. I do not believe in Jesus anymore. I don't believe in religion anymore. And I don't read the Bible. And in fact, God, Jesus, forgive me for this. And I repented so hard for this. I repented so hard for this. I threw my Bible in the trash. It was actually my mother's Bible, and it had her name engraved on it. I threw it in the trash and said it was a lie. I continue down this path. I had gotten to a place of healing to where I started to feel restoration and like I could just do anything by myself. I started to feel like I could do anything by myself. I didn't need anyone. I started hearing about my husband. Now, this was actually Jesus talking to me. He was telling me about my husband. I was like, I don't even want no relationship. I can do all this by myself. I ain't even trying to hear blah, blah, blah. Yo, when I tell, oh, and by the way, the crystals, I was using crystals. Now, the thing is, I wasn't heavy in crystals. I would wear a crystal around my neck. I had a crystal necklace And I would wear the purple one around my neck. I had the purple crystal in my car, and I wore it around my neck a lot of times. And then I switched to the black crystal, which is actually obsidian, right? I also had a green crystal, which is supposed to help attract money and stuff like that. I wore those 3 crystals. But as far as like when I did my readings, I actually didn't use crystals all like that. It was mainly just I would wear it every single day around my neck, right? So I'm at this place of restoration. I'm still wearing the crystal. I kid y'all not. I heard this heavy voice just say, oh, I heard a voice tell me, you're going to be famous. You're going to get deeper into these readings. You're going to get deeper into people's astrology and helping them understand themselves like you understand yourself. You're going to start a YouTube channel, and you're also going to do these readings, and you're going to become famous. And eventually you're going to start doing readings for celebrities. And you're going to be famous off that, and you're going to make a whole lot of money, and you're going to be able to provide for you and your son and get the house you've always wanted, so on and so forth, right? I was told this right after I was told about my husband, and I was like, okay, because I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I watched a lot of YouTubers do this whole thing, so I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Why not? If they can do it, I can do it, and I feel like I was just as good as they were, right? So, okay. I heard a strong voice, I want to say about a week later, that was like, you don't want to do tarot anymore. When I tell y'all, the desire of tarot just left me. I was pregnant with my second son. The desire of tarot just left me. I said, I don't even want to do this no more. I don't care to do this anymore. I was on a journey, right? I was on a journey of restoration. I was celibate. I was in my healing. I was in my self-love. I was in my queenness, or so it was saying. I was a goddess. I was in my I am era, right? I was an alchemist. I was chosen. I was a manifester. It just left me. I didn't want it anymore. I stopped doing it. And then it said, take that necklace off your neck. I just took it off. I hung it up on my door. I quit doing it. Now, as far as for the presences and stuff, I didn't really feel them all in this apartment like that. But it comes back full circle. So, just stay with me, please. So, I take this necklace off. I quit wearing it. Then comes the man that I'm with. He's always been a part of my life. Well, not always, but he's been part of my life for a while. But there was like some back and forth, up and down, talking, not talking, going on. So he enters back into my life, and we start dating. Like I want to say, we started dating November of 2024. Yeah, my son was born May of 2024. So my son is born. I'm not really doing tarot anymore. I stopped looking at a lot of the readings, and here he enters, right? And things start to take another shift, because in 2025, we had the worst year of our life. Terrible. I only did, about 2 readings that entire time? I only did about 2 readings that entire time. I'm still not wearing this crystal, right? And I'm still saying these affirmations, though. Actually, I quit saying the affirmation once I was pregnant with our daughter, because I found out February of 2025 that I was pregnant. I stopped saying those affirmations. I quit saying them. I didn't even want to say them no more. We go through this terrible year. And he'll talk about more about that stuff in his testimony, when he gives his testimony, when the time is right. And I give birth to my daughter. I almost die. That'll be another story for another time as well. And 2026 rolls around. In September of 2025, we move into a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom townhome. It's beautiful. We love it. It's amazing. It was a gift from God, right? But me and him are talking, and I get to this point to where I start to give my life over to Christ because I'm being told to. I started watching this podcast called We Need to Talk. It's something that he has been trying to get me to watch for months, and I'm ignoring it. I don't want to watch it. But as I'm watching this first one, I am in tears. I am in tears because a lot of the stuff that she did, and she said she used to be a witch and used to do witchcraft. I didn't go as deep as she did, but a lot of stuff she did, I also was doing. Which means he was right. I was doing witchcraft, right? I wasn't smoking weed or nothing. I had stopped smoking weed when I got that HR position because they drug test you. So I had stopped smoking weed back then. They drug test. I wasn't about to lose my job. So yeah, I had quit smoking weed back then. So it's been a while, right? But I immediately get told to throw all of my stuff in the trash. I throw all of my cards. And the thing is, I had been nudged to throw it away before we moved into this house. I had been nudged to throw it away, but I didn't. I was like, okay, whatever. I didn't buy any new cards, any new decks. And I'm trying to tell you, before I wanted to buy new decks. I wanted to buy more crystals. I wanted to get deep into this thing. And then I just got that sensation like, you don't want to do this anymore. I threw away all my decks, all my crystals, all my everything. I threw all this stuff in the trash, right? I denounced it. This is when some of the other stuff starts to get revealed, because when God calls you to him, he starts to reveal certain things to you. One, the things that you were doing that you didn't realize you were doing. And two, you have to, why it's important not to do those things, right? So I started to have visions and dreams. I started vomiting, right? I started throwing up. Yeah, started throwing up because now I'm purging. God is purging me, right? Because of the things that I was doing. And he starts giving me visions and reminding me of things that I came into covenant with without me even realizing. I had came into covenant with the witch, hence the witch standing at the end of my hallway. And I had come into a covenant with a deity. He showed me a vision of me standing. I was sitting on my bed and there was a mirror on my wall, which there was. This is the apartment that me and E was dating in. This is that apartment. After the fire happened, I had moved into this apartment. And I'm sitting there crisscross on the bed. And I'm literally saying, yeah, one day I'm going to be able to have the power that when I want to manifest, all I got to do is snap my fingers and I'll be able to have whatever it is that I want. I am beautiful. I am goddess. I don't even, consciously, I didn't even remember doing this. I didn't. He showed me a vision. It was like, do you remember this? When he showed me that vision, I remembered it. And he was like, I was like, yeah, and I'll be able to have everything in my hands because I am goddess. God is within me. I have the power. He gives me the power. I am chosen by him. God told me, he said, this deity also loves Beyonce. She likes to go after attractive women, women of beauty, women of caress, women that God chose to serve him with special gifts. She likes to go after. She likes to go after women who can make them feel seductive. So she gives you this seductive quality about you and turn you into a succubus of sorts. So you feel sexy, you feel proud, you feel, oh yeah, I'm that girl, right? Her favorite color, she likes gold. She likes black, white, and gold, right? And she sees herself and beautiful women because she sees herself as beautiful. And she says that sometimes she represents herself to be of love, to be of marriage, right? I think to be of water as well, to be of water, right? So sometimes you can connect with her through water, but she loves Beyonce. And she uses Beyonce on stage to collect souls while she's performing. Because she inherits her body during those times. And then he said her name. And not only that, I had a statue of her. I had bought a statue of her when I moved into my 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. I was looking for decorations, right? And I had ended up buying a statue of this goddess, not even realizing that she was telling me to do that to represent her. Her name is Oshun. He said you were in contact with Oshun. and she intercepted your mind, and she was trying to intercept your body. Now, he told me she would have possessed me, but the only reason why that did not happen is because when I heard that voice, you don't want to do this anymore. When we go back to that time, you don't want to do this anymore. You don't want to do tarot no more. He said, you obeyed me. You listened, and it saved you. Because God, when y'all get into the Bible, y'all need to understand, when you feel that thing in your heart and in your spirit, like, oh no, this ain't right. I don't think I should be doing this. That's not just shame. It's not just guilt. It's conviction. It's conviction because that is actually God talking to you saying, hey, that thing that you're doing, you need to stop, because it's leading and opening up stuff that you don't know. You don't really know what you're doing. Ignorance. When God convicts you so many times and you don't listen, he will give you over to your sin. He'll give you over to it. And some people will think that because they don't feel that conviction no more, that means God is okay with it. He's not okay with it. What he's about to do is put you in a position to where you're going to be broken down on your knees, crying, begging for him to come back to you, because now he's giving you over to the sin. So now he's about to let that sin do whatever it wants to you. His hand has been removed from you in that moment. But because that didn't happen to me, because I listened when he told me to stop. And when he told me to take that necklace off, that crystal, I listened. So I started vomiting because I started getting purged, right? I started vomiting. I was asleep. And might as well. Okay, so Tobias, he gets up and he goes to work. Okay. He gets up and he goes to work. When he does this, I go back to sleep. And this is one of the first time I ever experienced sleep paralysis. So I'm asleep, and I kid you not, I feel something jump onto my body, right? It jumps onto my body. Now, mind you, I'm asleep. The Steve Harvey show is playing on our TV. So I had turned, what I had playing. The Steve Harvey show is playing on our TV. I'm asleep. I can still see my room. It looked like normal, right? But of course, the lights were turned off. In my son's room, it's like I can hear him playing. I hear, oh, pow, pow, and I'm like, Messiah being loud. And he, and I see a light coming from that room. And I'm like yelling Messiah's name, Messiah, Messiah, come, Messiah. Why ain't he coming? He's not coming. And then I was going to try to get up. I couldn't move my body. I couldn't move. I was stuck. And I was like, that's when it dawned. I said, oh, I know what this is. Because my dad used to tell me how he experienced this. I'm like, I'm asleep. I'm going through a sleep paralysis right now. So I immediately go into deep prayer. I start praying to Jesus like no other. No other. And then something was like, call Tobias, call him. You got to call him. You got to call him, tell him to come back from work. And he need to pray over you. So I grab my cell phone. And I'm trying to turn my cell phone on to call him. My cell phone won't turn on. I'm like, what's going on with my cell phone? And then it was like, wake up. And I open my eyes. I wake up. When I wake up, my cell phone is not even in my hand. It's actually flipped over on the bed. The TV, you know how sometimes the screen can go blank, right? But you know when you see something playing, whether on YouTube, Netflix, you can see that line going to show like how many minutes it's been playing versus how many minutes the full episode is supposed to be. I pick up my controller because the TV is blank. And the Steve Harvey show was playing. So I pick up the remote and I click the TV. The Steve Harvey show is going, but there's nothing playing on the screen. And I'm like, hold up. That was my first experience. I ended up throwing up again that night. Then it got to a point to where night after night, I would be asleep. And God told me, he said, a witch keeps visiting you in your sleep. He's like, wake up. I woke up. He said, do not sleep on your back and do not sleep on your stomach. So I'm like, okay. I start laying on my side. I start sleeping on my side constantly. And he starts teaching me how to pray. He starts teaching me how to pray. And I start praying to Jesus. I start praying to Jesus. I start praying to Jesus. It was then I was told to get a Holy Bible. I did end up purchasing the Holy Bible. And then he started, I was at work, y'all. I was at work and I was told to go to the bathroom. I had to use the bathroom, right? So I went to the bathroom. And when I tell you the conviction of this moment, he gave me flashbacks of when I threw away my Bible and when I denounced Jesus. And he said, you want me to save you? You get on your knees, you get on your face, and you repent to me. You denounced my son. You repent to me. And y'all want to know what I did? I did it. I was crying on this bathroom, repenting and apologizing to like I never have in my life. And it was in that moment I gave my life over to Christ. And me and him started having exchanges of dreams and stuff like that. I started feeling spirits in our room all the time. And I would get up and I would start praying. I would start praying over our house. I would start praying over my babies. I just started praying. And God started giving me a lot of these revelations, right? And that was when he told me, you're going to have to give your testimony. And I was like, oh, Lord, no. No. I ain't calling myself a witch, Lord. I ain't doing it. I ain't doing it. And he was like, you're going to give your testimony because there's other women like you who think the same thing, right? Because when you got to think, when we're doing those tarot readings, we're saying spirit. We ain't saying Holy Spirit, right? We're saying spirit. And there's something there. There's something there. But it's not God, y'all. It's not Jesus. It's not God. It's not. And some people may be like, okay, well, why does that matter? What spirit you talking on? Because only one spirit is going to get you into the kingdom of God, baby. That's the Holy Spirit. The only way is through Jesus Christ. The Holy Spirit, Lord God, our Savior. Only one spirit going to get you into the kingdom of God. Where do you think the rest of them going to send you? I am is what God says. And for those who don't know, Yahweh, right? In the Hebrew, Yahweh, our God. He is the Alpha, he's the Omega, he's the beginning, he is the end. When this day ends, that is the only name you're going to be calling, baby. Jesus. So when people want to argue, because I've had people argue with me before, why does it matter? People speak in tongues and the Spirit and this, that, and the third. Because at least when you're with the Holy Spirit, you are protected. You are in divination. You are cleansed. You are healed, right? You do not ever say I am, because that is what God uses. He says, I am who I am. When you say I am, you are claiming to be God. You do not say that. And the devil, the Antichrist, because a lot of people don't want to believe that the Antichrist exists. Who do you think I was talking to? Who do you think was giving me permission to say I am and I am goddess? He connected me to a deity, yes. But the Antichrist, a lot of people think that the Antichrist is just going to be some flesh thing, that is some flesh person who just goes around preaching saying he's Jesus. No, baby. He attacks God's property first. He gets up here first, because once he has you up here, and then you match up here with what you see, he got you. He got you. So it's important to get into the Word of God. I have been reading my Bible every single night. I have been praying every single night. There's a lot of things that I stopped drinking. I quit smoking a long time ago, but I did do gummies here and there. I don't do that. I don't drink no more. There's even games and video and stuff that I stopped watching because God started telling me certain things about things that he's going to want me to talk about later on. Right? And then he said, now you need to go help save my people. So you need to give your testimony. And I have a few testimonies that he wants me to give. Some are going to be harder than others, but this was one of them. Denounce those things. Stop using them. They are not just tools. They are actually cursed and marked objects in the spiritual realm. Just because in the physical realm, you may not see that, it is in the spiritual realm. They are marked. They have curse markings on the back of them that are used so that you can connect, right? And as far as permission goes, right? Because God told me this. You don't have to say, I grant you permission. All you have to do is interact with it. The fact that I was interacting with it, talking to it, doing its work by doing the tarot readings, right? Lighting all of the candles, right? Saying what I was saying, right? I was already giving it permission. You already gave it permission. People need to understand the devil is smart. He is sneaky, but he's smart. People always want to be like, oh, the devil ain't that clever, baby. The devil, Lucifer, was one of the most powerful angels in heaven, which means he also knows the Bible. He also knows the rules of the spiritual realm, which means he also knows how to manipulate it. And he knows how to take advantage of our minds using those things. Don't get caught up. Protect your children. And if you were saging your children, repent. Because smoking weed, doing drugs, all this stuff, you're opening up portals. That's why that high that you're feeling, you're actually in another dimension. You are spiritually, you're in another dimension. And you're opening up these spiritual doors for other things that you don't know is coming in. That's why, that's why they say weed is a gateway drug. Why do they say that? Why are they promoting, oh, weed, it'll help heal you. It'll help make you better. It'll help. It's from the earth, baby. Poison ivy is from the earth. That don't mean you're going to eat it. It's a lot of things from the earth that you wouldn't touch because it's not good for you. Weed is not good for you. It's no different from any other drug. It's no different from heroin. Heroin? Cocaine? That powder, and if I'm not mistaken, cocaine is actually from a natural source too. They just crush it up. It is. Cocaine is also from a natural source. They just crush it up into powder. God, stop with that whole, oh, but it's from the earth. No, baby. No. That don't make it good. Okay? And if you have to convince yourself that hard to do something, then on some level, you know you're not supposed to be doing it. Because I guarantee you, when you sitting down eating a bowl of fruit, you ain't like, well, I can eat this because it's from a seed. You know, I can eat this. This is from, no. You already know it's good. You already know that it's derived within you in a good way. But when you talk to somebody about weed, they get defensive. No, it's not this from the earth. Da, da, da. If you got to go that hard for it, one, you're attached to it unhealthily. And two, it's because on some level, you know you're not supposed to be doing it. You're being convicted. So stop. Denounce these things. When I tell you emotionally and mentally, I have gotten in such a much better space. I am not joking. And it will make you want to fall to your knees every day and thank you, Jesus, because he has delivered me in a way that I didn't even think was possible. I didn't even know I needed deliverance from certain things. And I thank God that he did, because I was 2 steps from going over the edge. So I hope that this testimony has reached somebody. I hope that it reaches somebody. There will be more to come. I'm about to go ahead and get off of here so I can actually eat my Chipotle. And I guess we can do a Q&A session after this, but it'll be posted a little later. We'll just post this for right now, then do a Q&A session afterwards. But yeah, God bless.